Right, let us talk about the difference between single class inheritance and multiple class inheritance. Now let's start with single class inheritance. Now, languages which support single class inheritance says that a class can have only one parent. So in this case, the class C can have only one parent, and C extends A. Now, languages which support multiple class inheritance says that a class can have multiple parents if necessary. So this scenario whereby C is a child of both A and B, or put in another way, A and B are parents of C. This feature is Now this is only possible if you are using a language which supports multiple class inheritance. In other words, you can have two parents, two or more parents. Now let's look at point 1. Alright, point 1 says Java supports only single class inheritance. So in Java, you cannot have a class which extends two parents. Not allowed. In fact, most modern languages such as C#, Visual Basic.NET supports only single class inheritance. A good example of a language which supports multiple class inheritance would be C++. Second point here, all classes in Java have one parent class. Can you have a class with no parent? Alright, if I write a class, for example, I write a class called dumb like that, and I don't use the extends keyword to extend any class, does it mean to say that dumb has no parent? Well, the answer is no. Let's look at point C. In Java, if you do not extend a class, that class will automatically extend java.lang.object. Now, what I'm trying to say is that if you write a class called dumb which does not explicitly extend anything, Java will add this in for you. Okay, regardless of whether you like it or not. This part will be added in for you if you do not specifically extend a class. And what is java.lang.object? Alright, let's take a look at the API documentation. I'm looking at the API documentation for version 7 of Java, and let's go to the object class. Okay, the object class, java.lang.object. Now this is an important class and it contains several methods. Now there are three methods which I want you to be familiar with. The clone method, which returns a copy of this object. The equals method, which is useful, we'll talk about this later. And the toString method, alright, which returns a string representation of the object. Now there are a lot of other methods like notify all, wait, etc. Now you probably won't be touching these methods unless you are writing multi-threaded code. So let's just focus on these three methods. Now this is an important class. Object is an important class. Why? Because regardless of whether you like it or not, it will always be at the top of your inheritance tree. This is the tree of the three classes which you have written just now: the director class, the manager class, and manager extends employee. Now, employee, like it or not, will extend java.lang.object by default. So in Java, every class will have one and only one parent. The only special class in Java which has no parent is object. Alright, and object is at the root of every tree. It is right at the top. And since object has already got some methods, these methods will be inherited to employee. And I've written dumb just now, right? Will be inherited to dumb. Let me prove it to you. Okay, let's look at dumb again. Dumb looks like this. I'm going to save it. Alright, let me change the code in test class, the main method. I've created a new dumb object or dumb instance, calling it D, and I'm calling its toString method. Now, toString was inherited from object. Alright, and I'm going to compile test. It compiles and it runs. Now, I've proven to you that even though dump has no method called toString, and I did not specifically extend anything, Java will extend, will make the dump the child class of object, and hence all the methods in object appears in dump automatically. Okay, and one of them is the toString method. Now the default toString method of object returns a string which looks like this: class name followed by an @ sign followed by a hash code. Now the hash code is gibberish to us, some random series of numbers and characters. Okay, it is not very important at this point. Alright, so I've proven the 3 points which I've mentioned. That's all.